As I said earlier, there are a lot of people lying about the things that Charlie Kirk said and stood for and represented. And I showed you earlier how, you've got AOC, you've got Ilhan Omar, you've got the squad trying to twist his words to their own sick narratives. And I've seen a lot of memes floating around too. But here's the thing. We have the receipts and we have what's called context. Because to make Charlie sound like a hateful person, you'd have to take him out of context. But we have the context. So please share this with any of your friends or any shitbag trolls on the internet who want to misrepresent what Charlie said now that he is not alive to defend himself. Let's start with Stephen King. This one's been going around a lot. He advocated stoning gays to death. Just saying. He was, Charlie was actually criticized. He criticized people for cherry picking Bible verses. He criticized the YouTube star Miss Rachel for citing God's wish for Christians to, quote, love thy neighbor in Leviticus, saying that should include gay people. That's what we hear all the time is just, well, love thy neighbor. Therefore, you should accept all of these things. Therefore, you should allow children to mutilate their body parts because remember, God calls Christians to love thy neighbor. So Charlie was responding to Miss Rachel, said, by the way, Miss Rachel, you might want to crack open that Bible of yours. In a lesser reference, part of the same part of scripture in Leviticus 18 is that thou shalt lay with another man shall be stoned to death. Here's what Charlie actually said about the gay community. I believe marriage is one man, one woman. Also, gay people should be welcome in the conservative movement. As Christians, we are called to love everyone. I will always stand against people who wish to establish their own personal views as a reason to kick others out of our movement. And he had a long history of engaging in a very kind debate or kind conversation with gay people when I'm going to play you a video of Charlie having a back and forth with a gay conservative.
I'm a gay conservative, and I just want to kind of ask you, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess, it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, they do have a choice?
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual attractions.
No, I agree.
Because that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person. And
for sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle, but politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country, and for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
Where's the hate that I was promised? Where's the hateful rhetoric? Where's the judging gay people? Where's the, Charlie said gay people should be stoned to death. He just literally welcomed him into his movement. So it's just not true. There was also one going around, Charlie was a fan of the Second Amendment. He got shot to death. Here's what a Syracuse University professor had to say about that. Charlie Kirk said it was worth it to have, quote, a few gun deaths each year so that we can have the Second Amendment. He called those deaths prudent and a rational deal. Him dying this way seems both ironic and in line with his own politics. Now, I want to play for you the real quote from Charlie, which, as you can guess, was, of course, taken out of context.
We need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
I promise you that Charlie still believes that right now. I promise you. Because he understands the repercussion of not having an armed society. And he understands that just like with drugs and any other contraband that is sold on the black market these days, because it's not illegal, you can't like just make guns illegal, we're going to make murder more illegaler. I realize that's not a word. That's the point. We're going to make murder illegaler and then people will stop doing it. Of course, he understands that. And therefore, he understands the importance of someone having the ability to protect themselves from the bad guy with the gun. Now, let's get to the racist claims. Oh, Charlie Kirk was a racist. Charlie Kirk was a racist. He was against desegregation in the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Okay, let's listen to Charlie on that.
The Civil Rights Act was a mistake. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so the parts of the Civil Rights Act were great, but the way it's now being implemented to force men in female bathrooms to push forward of the trans agenda, the intent of the Civil Rights Act is way beyond what it was originally authored for.
But the intent specifically originally was to
Well, that's interesting. So the intent and the law are two different things. So the intent was noble, which was to say that no American can be not allowed into a place of business based on the color of their skin or their ethnic heritage. Totally agreement with that. That's not what the law only did. It created a massive anti-racist DEI army that then gave us affirmative action. For example, recently, Merrick Garland sued using the Civil Rights Act, saying that we cannot have voter ID in certain states because it's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. So basically what the Civil Rights Act did is that it went beyond disparate impact and then went to disparate effect. In the sense where if black Americans are not doing as well as white Americans in a certain category, you can now use the Civil Rights Act and say that's a violation of the Civil Rights Act, even though there might be other contributing factors. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's too broad, too wide, and it's now doing a lot of damage to the country. It's being used well beyond its original intent.
Pretty straightforward to me. Doesn't sound like a blatant racist. Really doesn't. Let's listen to more from this very racist Charlie Kirk.
Unfortunately, in the black community, dads are the most absent of any community. About 2/3 of all black youth will be raised without a stable father around. And I know it's crazy, right? And that little precious angel of yours deserves to have a father around.
Oh, no. He called this very cute little black baby a precious angel. Sounds like a terrible racist, right? Now, let's get to the mainstream media. The New York Times told millions of their, well, I don't know if they have millions of readers anymore, actually. They may not have millions of readers, but whoever the hell is still reading that crappy rag told all their readers that Charlie Kirk was anti-Semitic. They claim that Charlie said this: Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. They said, Charlie Kirk, he said it on his podcast, The Charlie Kirk Show in 2023. Except, he was actually critiquing that quote someone else said. What Charlie actually said before reading it, half of this tweet is true, half of it I don't like. And then the New York Times was they had to issue an apology. They had to issue an apology. A correction was made on September 11th, 2025. An earlier version of this article described incorrectly an anti-Semitic statement that Charlie Kirk had made on an episode of his podcast. He was quoting a statement from a post on social media and went on to critique it. It was not his own statement. I don't think they care because the damage was already done, and you cannot convince me that that was not intentional. New York Times, okay? So please share this with a friend. Share this with a friend who is spewing incorrect rhetoric about Charlie Kirk, knowing that he is not here to defend himself, and make sure they know that all of these are wrong and taken out of context so that they can fuel their hateful agenda. I hope that this helps.